I want to talking about anime and how I think it's kind of hard. I've been making these videos since 2025 for me is the year of the otaku. I've been making a lot more anime videos and anime related videos. Now, this is not new. I've been making anime related videos for a long time. Since before this channel even existed, I was interested in anime and whatever, watching a lot of shows. Um, but I found it quite difficult to talk about anime in a way that's interesting. And I want to expand on that. So I've been making videos where they're called sort of laying around watching. So I just sort of watch a show and live commentate as I'm watching it. What are my thoughts? And then once it's over, I give some sort of conclusion, decide whether I recommend it or not, and that sort of thing. And I'm actually making another one right now, which you can look forward to, laying around watching the entire Symphogear series. It's going to take me a little while to put together. It's a lot of shows, but I'm making that right now. And those are fun. I like doing them. It makes watching anime more fun actually because I get to sort of talk about it as I'm watching it, and it means I get to sort of turn it into a project. I kind of like that. I like watching stuff as a part of a project. I always have. Um, but I also have a tendency to sort of want to one up myself. I want to sort of improve. I want to make the videos more interesting. And while I like making those videos, they're also not really the sort of thing. They're not very widely applicable. So it might be good to rewatch a show, but what if I want to make a video about a show I've already seen that's a bit more detailed? Well, I don't really know how to do that. And I don't really know if anyone really knows how to do that. It's not that I particularly want to grow this channel. I have, about like 20 people who will watch anything I make, and I'm pretty happy with that. So it's not like I'm thinking, oh, I want to make a really well produced video that's going to blow up in the algorithm. I don't really care about that. But I do want to make something that I can be proud of and something that I would personally watch. That's something that seems kind of cool. And so I kind of want to write about a show or talk about a show in something that's a little more interesting. Um, but I don't really know how to do it. I also think that basically no one really knows how to do it. I think when it comes to talking about anime on the internet, whether it be in YouTube videos or on an anime blog, I tend to find that most of them kind of suck, and also that most of them historically have always kind of sucked. I think there are really sort of three ways to go about talking about anime. I think the first way is to do it sort of like a film analysis. Take the formula that was established by Every Frame a Painting for how you do a video essay about a movie and copy it and apply it to an anime. Now, me personally, I took 1 year of film school, a little bit less than that. I dropped out of film school after like a half a year, but I know the basics of, I could tell you what the Kuleshov effect is. I know basically how editing works. I can watch a show and I could write a video essay about it where I say the camera in this scene is higher up, making the character look smaller, which has the effect of making them look weaker, versus the reverse shot. The camera is pointed up at the other character, giving them a sense of power in the scene. Like, I could do that. I could explain, hey, this uses the rule of third. That would be very easy for me. I could do that in my sleep. I also find a lot of YouTubers do that and have like wild success, even when they miss really obvious stuff. Like there's a very popular video by Trixie, the Golden Witch. I think it's her biggest video, which is called like How to Recognize a Terrible Anime in Just One Episode. And it's about the show Gate. It's about the first episode of the show Gate, and it's kind of her doing something like this, right? Like going through sort of uh, the the structure of the episode, the directing, and pointing out all of the flaws in the directing. Except like she misses a bunch of really obvious shit and makes a bunch of mistakes, just like as she's talking. Now I'm not a Gate defender. I haven't even seen Gate. I've never seen the show. It probably is bad. I'm sure that she's right. She generally has pretty good taste in anime. I'm sure the show is bad. But like there's stuff I'm not gonna go through. I might make a whole video about why that video is wrong. I'm not saying the first episode of Gate is some masterpiece, but there's just like little bits of directing that she doesn't pick up on or says is like oh, this is jarring and weird, not understanding that it's serving a purpose in the directing. Like, I'm not saying it's done excellently, but like, for example, just off the top of my head, there's a shot of an ice cream cone dropped on the ground, right? In a sort of there's a sort of montage of characters or just sort of like background characters going through their daily lives, and there's one of the shots is like an ice cream cone dropped on the ground. And when she's talking about that montage in the video, and saying how it's poorly executed, she says like, and then weirdly, like a random shot of an ice cream cone on the ground, like that's weird, that's random. What a random thing to put in the show. But like, it's also very obvious that that's actually just like pretty normal, very bog standard foreshadowing, right? Like, hey, something that looks like a typical normal scene where something like bad has happened, right? Like an idea that something this is the calm before the storm. Like we're establishing that this looks like a peaceful street, but oh no, something is subtly wrong, you know? Something is subtly wrong in the background that's going to come back in a little bit when the big bad thing happens in the beginning of the episode. Like, that's not a bad way to communicate that, like, emotionally. Like, hey, here's what looks like a calm, peaceful scene, but there's like, hey, an ice cream cone on the ground juxtaposed with the rest of the scene. It's like a pretty standard but effective way to communicate, like, hey, this looks like a regular peaceful scene, but something is subtly off. Like something bad is about to happen. You know, like that's a. I'm not saying it's masterful directing or anything. It's not. It's just like very fundamental stuff that you would do. Like not being able to pick up on stuff like that is the sort of thing that I see loads of anime YouTubers do. I know that video is fucking ancient at that point. At this point, this video is like 10 years old. I don't know, but no one's really improved upon it since then. People just kind of suck at like anime fans don't tend to watch a lot of movies, or at least they're not like, you know, I'm not a massive cinephile, film guy, whatever. I've watched my fair share of movies, but you know, I have friends who are like insane, watched every fucking movie ever, who know way, way more than me. You know, I have a friend who runs a film blog where he researches his posts for like months, and they're super, super detailed, and that guy knows every little bit of movie trivia you could imagine. Like, you know, I'm not saying I'm some massive film guy that knows everything about movie analysis. I fucking don't, right? But like, there's just a bare minimum threshold that you should meet, I feel like. And this is not a video complaining about Trixie or complaining about that particular video or whatever, because that's a really old video. I went through because I was trying to think, okay, I kind of want to make a video about Yamano Susume. I kind of want to make a video about Shin Onuma, the director. You know, like I kind of want to make, there's a couple of things that I kind of want to make videos about. And I feel like the laying around watching format isn't suited for. Let me look around YouTube for inspiration. And I tried to watch a bunch of more recent anime related video content, and it all fucking sucked. And it sucked in the same ways. Like, so many people don't really understand anything about like directing or cinematography or anything, and so they suck at that sort of analysis. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm saying me as someone who knows nothing shouldn't be picking up on stuff that you as a reviewer, you know what I mean? So that's the first thing. So I could write a very basic, and it would be really boring because I'm not an expert. I don't know that much about cinematography and directing and filmic technique. You know, I could probably point some basic stuff out, like, hey, this is visual symbolism. This is a juxtaposition. This is a shot reverse shot. You know, I know the names. I know the names of things. I could say the names of things, but I don't know if it would be that useful. Um, the second thing, and also I don't know anything about animation. That's the other thing. There's a lot of animation techniques that I'm sure are being used all the time in anime that an animator could probably have something really interesting to say about, and I don't know anything about that. So I think that's the first way to analyze anime, is to look at it kind of like you would analyze any other piece of visual media, to analyze it like a film or a TV show. The second way to analyze anime is, or to talk about anime, is what I would say is the very facts based form, the history and facts based. The premise of the video, the promise of the video, even, is I've gone and I've deep dived something. I've gone and I found out all of the background information for something. And it's like the show or whatever we're talking about is like here, and we're going to talk about a little bit, but we're mostly going to talk about the technical side. We're going to say, this is the director. This is what he worked on before. Here we can see some of his stylistic trappings, and here we can see which ones make it into this show. This is the writer. This is what this writer worked on before. This show came out this year, putting it alongside this, this, and this. The original manga was in this magazine, and this magazine is known for this, and that sort of thing. Like, very technical, where the promise of the video is like, hey, I've gone and I've done all the research, so you don't have to. So this is your one-stop shop. If you want to find out everything there is to know factually about the background of this thing, come here, right? And I love these videos, and they're also really fucking few and far between because it's a lot of work. No one wants to do that, and no one watches them. No one gives a fuck about this stuff because it's like things you actually have to be passionate about anime to care about, right? Like, I'm sure I don't mean to offend anyone, but your average, Jujutsu Kaisen fan doesn't know anything about animators and doesn't want to know. Like, they don't really care, about anything beyond the names of a few mangaka and directors and stuff, and that's fine. Not everyone has to be interested in that stuff, but that also represents the majority of people who would watch a YouTube video. So I think because this type of content, which I think kind of peaked with a YouTuber named the Canepa Effect, who retired at some point. But that guy used to make a bunch of these more technical videos going through the actual industry of anime, talking about how anime production actually works and the specific individuals who are involved with something, and using it to sort of branch off into factual details about the production of shows. And I find those videos fascinating, but they're also really hard to make. It also requires watching so much anime, right? Because if you want to talk about some director's career, anime directors tend to have decades and decades of careers working on all sorts of different shows in all sorts of different genres, and often going way, way back, because especially if you're talking about like a director, no one starts as a director. So it's like, if you want to talk about a director, you got to go back to the 80s and talk about all the shows they did key animation on. It's just going to take forever. It takes so much, it's just so much work, and the information is there. It's on Mal, like, you can see it, but it's a lot of work to compile, and I think it's kind of hard to make it interesting, which also might be another reason why not many people do it. So that's the second type of anime type video. And I think the third type of it's not necessarily a video, it's just a way to talk about anime. I think the third way to talk about anime is to focus on the otaku lifestyle, the culture of anime, the, how do I put it, milieu, the discourse, the meta, in a sense. And also, these are some of my favorite types of videos. But they can be done well, but they can also be done really, really badly, But it's nice to sort of talk about the otaku lifestyle, and to an extent, this is kind of what I do, right? But it's also like I'm not just including what I do. I'm talking about, I watched a video recently while I was doing my research to try and see, hey, what sort of anime YouTubers have popped up in the last 4 years since I last watched an anime YouTuber. And I saw a video, I don't fucking remember who made it, but it was some guy, and he was like, yeah, I shit talked this one anime, and then the community came. And it was like, this is a video about how bad, like, anime communities are, or whatever. Was it that? It was something like that. And that video had a lot of views. It had hundreds of thousands of views. And it's like, it just sucked, because it's just about toxic anime fans, and it's like, who fucking cares? Please, who fucking gives a shit? And of course, the worst type of these videos, there's two other really, really bad types of these videos. There's type number one, which is the wokes are coming for my animus, which is so bad. And there's so many of these videos. Anime go woke, Netflix go woke, Crunchyroll go woke. Who cares? Who cares? And then the opposite, where it's like, le anime director is le problematic. No, le anime director is le problematic. I hate this shit. I fucking hate it. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. You're gone. I hate that shit. Never talk about that stuff. I don't fucking give a shit. So it can go really badly, right? It can go so badly, this type of video, the meta oh, we're talking about the culture, we're talking about the discourse. Get the fuck out of here, man. But it can also be great. It can also be amazing. It can be like, I went to Comiket. Here was my experience. Here was I had a great time, blah, blah, blah. I talked to these people. I bought this. This was my whole, that stuff's great. I love to see that shit. Or like, you know, here's something that happened in the anime community at one point that you forgot about. That would be fucking sick. Like I would watch a whole video about the real time reaction on the Japanese internet about Haruhi as it was airing, because that show has the most fascinating like internet reaction ever, according to sources that I've vaguely heard about. But it's all in Japanese because it didn't get, people in the West didn't watch it as it was airing. But imagine being Japanese, not knowing anything about Haruhi, and watching it in broadcast order for the first time, not knowing anything about like it'd be fucking crazy. Like I want to see someone go through and translate all of the fucking Nichanaru threads about the Endless Eight. Like I want to see that shit. No one's gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't speak, Nihongo wa tabemasen. I don't fucking speak Japanese. But someone who does could do that, and it'll be really good. And you know who's got this shit figured out? Weirdly enough, is the visual novel community. Visual novel community, they are great. Like you have, like on YouTube, you have people who talk about visual novel news, new updates, new translations, new releases, what the studio is up to, who they're hiring, and you can get super in-depth information from that. And then there's people who talk about their own tastes. Here is my top 10 visual novel hottest girls, stuff like that. And then you get like deep, in-depth literary analysis. Like, here's all of the fucking allusions. Here's all of the analogies and deep analogies and themes and whatever in, fucking Gore Screaming Show or whatever. Right? Like, you can find all of this stuff. And there's only like 3 guys that talk about visual novels, and they're all good. Like, it's crazy. I guess you just don't get into visual novels if you're not already deep in this shit. But I think ultimately, the biggest problem that I see with a lot of people talking about anime is they just haven't watched much anime. Like, every single thing that I mentioned, all 3 of these methods are lacking something. In the first place, doing a straightforward film analysis is lacking something intangible, which is that anime is not films. Anime is not just out of context. It comes with a culture surrounding it. You wouldn't understand what the fuck Nekomimi Medo is if you don't have the cultural context to know what it is. You're not gonna understand that shit. You're not gonna understand. Let's say, hey, fuck it, Lucky Star, right? Most people in the West watch Lucky Star. They don't know what the fuck Too Hot is, right? Like new gens, right? The new young anime fans. I was having a discussion once with you would have heard about this, with a guy in an anime shop, and the guy said like, people don't watch Haruhi anymore, and I was like, that's so true. People don't watch Haruhi anymore. Like back in the day, that was like what it meant to be into anime. It meant being into Haruhi. They were synonymous. Nowadays, people don't know about Haruhi, so it's like but Lucky Star is still popular. Lucky Star is still popular, but Haruhi, no one watches it anymore. So it's like, okay, you're watching Lucky Star and you're just not gonna understand half the fucking show because you haven't seen Haruhi. And then beyond that, even back in the day, including me, when I watched Lucky Star, I didn't know what the fuck Too Hot was. No one knows what Too Hot is, right? There's so many Too Hot references in Lucky Star. There's references to like Shuffle. There's a bunch of references to like really popular garuge that are still big in Japan, but were huge back in the day. Dakapo, Too Hot, and Shuffle being like the big 3 that you see in every like 2000s reference to otaku culture. It's like in the West, no one fucking knew about that shit. I mean, Too Hot still isn't. Too Hot 1 isn't translated. Like it's been 90. It came out in the 90s. It's still not translated, right? Like, oh, I guess like Canon and Air as well. I didn't mention those 2, but those, whatever. Fuck you, okay. So I think not knowing about the culture and also confusing the Western culture and the Japanese culture, focusing only on one instead of the other, it just misses out on so much. You gotta understand the signifiers. You know, it's like I made this video a while ago about why music theory is fundamentally inadequate. And what I said was, music theory is great. It's great. I don't know that much about music theory, but it's genuinely useful, and I have studied a little bit of it, and I would like to learn more about it. But it's not really very good at describing music because it doesn't have any tools to talk about the culture surrounding music. It only can talk about the technical aspects. And really, at its most fundamental, music is a set of cultural signifiers that communicate to other people. You know, you can have something like, well, we have some physical phenomenon where overtones, create a beating pattern when their ratios are different, and so that sounds dissonant. But then you go to Bulgaria, and suddenly that doesn't make sense anymore. You know, like the culture always precedes um, anything else. And I think anime is the same way. You know, there's a lot of cultural reference, maybe more than any other medium. It's so, notoriously incestuous that there are so many cultural reference. You know, like most people probably don't think that Haruhi is actually one giant Da Capo reference, but it is, at least in my humble opinion. Um, like it just goes back and back, and you don't even understand it. You don't even know nothing about it. And no one talks about that because you need to have seen everything and you need to know everything, and no one does, including me. So I find it really difficult to actually talk about anime. I can talk about the meta, we're doing it right now, but I find it kind of difficult to actually look at a show and decide what to talk about because, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, I could tell you about the cinematography or whatever. Yeah, I could tell you who directed it, but at the same time, you know, I can never actually capture everything about the show. In reality, I suppose what you need to do is drill down on something specific. You know, I found that I could talk about Serial Experiments Lane when I focused on the music and just analyzing the music. And don't go back and watch that video because it's really fucking bad, and I didn't know what I was talking about. Now that I watched it back, it's terrible. But I did manage to write that video. So, you know, here we are in the year 2025, and I don't know what's going on. I don't fucking know what's going on. Even my videos, here I am in my fucking kitchen slash living room recording this, and it sucks because my room is just way better as a set. It has all of my anime posters on a wall, and that looks cool. And it's nice and dark and dingy, and my mattress is on the floor. And it's like, yeah, you look at that and you go, that's the type of guy that guy is. And I'm like, unfortunately, yeah, it's fucked up, isn't it? Um, but here, it's like, what do you see? My gaming PC that is in the kitchen? Yeah, my gaming PC is in the kitchen. What do I do on my gaming PC? As you can see, apparently I watch YouTube shorts. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Let me turn off my DMs, actually. Let me close out of my DMs. Hey, you can see my wallpaper. Yeah, let me just do all this. I don't know if I can show that on YouTube, actually. Never mind. I'm gonna leave a little window up just so that you don't like. Okay, I'm just gonna put a terminal window up so you can't see my wallpaper on that monitor because it's a little risque for YouTube. But this one we're fine. Anyway, like this sucks, right? I'm just sort of wandering around, and like when I walk over here, I like to pace, but then when I walk over here, you have to hear my floorboards creaking because this room is not carpeted, unlike every other room, and the floorboards are very creaky, and they're like warped, which sucks, and I cannot afford, like, I don't know how the fuck floorboards work, but like I guess you got to replace them when they get warped. And I guess they've gone warped because they're kind of creaky, like they didn't used to be this bad. I can't afford that. That's a lot of money, presumably. Um, so that sucks, and it sucks to talk about anime here because it's not a very interesting set or anything. Um, but then sometimes I'm just watching anime here, and that's just how it is. And then like, what is there to talk about, right? Like, I guess it wouldn't be too crazy. I find it kind of difficult to just write about anime. I guess I do kind of find it difficult. I find it easy to write my like initial thoughts, and I do have an anime gem log where I've written a couple of posts. Don't look for it; you won't find it. Um, But maybe I should just like, for example, I have a post about Hoshizuku Telepath. Um, should I convert that Hoshizuku Telepath post into a video? I could, but then we run into the other big problem with talking about anime on YouTube, which I should have brought up earlier because it's a very big one. Visuals. Um, I would watch a video that's just this, and presumably 25 minutes in, you would also watch that video. But it would be nice to also show moments from a show while I'm showing it, right? Like while I'm talking about it. Like, hey, remember when this happened? And then that's happening on screen so you can see it. But there's a couple of issues with that. Issue number one, copyright, obviously. That's the big one. Who knows? Some anime studios are crazy litigious. One of my like minor channels actually got a full-on copyright strike, not a DMCA takedown, not a demonetization, a full-on channel strike because I made an AMV with the Nanoha A's movie, and it got my entire channel striked, right? And that took like a year to go away just because I posted a fucking Nanoha AMV. Like that's the situation where I didn't. It was like it was just an AMV. Like I would have just taken it down. Like you didn't have to do all that shit, man. So fuck those guys. But shouts out to the Nanoha movies because those movies fucking rule. But be more chill on the copyright side of things. Come on. Um, so that sucked, and that just happens, right? Like you can just get your whole shit fucked because you used a clip from something, and there's not really any way of knowing like when that's gonna happen. There's no logic to it. I mean, yeah, you can upload it private, I guess. That's the new technique, right? But that's it's just kind of annoying. But then the second thing is just finding clips. A 12 episode show is like about 4 hours long, maybe a bit longer or shorter, depending on the specific episode length. And like digging through 4 hours of stuff for like a 30-second clip is a fucking pain. It's a fucking pain, and it's a pain to edit. It sucks to edit these sorts of things. Now, I like editing, but like it's a lot. It's just a lot because you got to watch the show and then you got to go back through the entire show to find the clips. You watch the show, presumably you take notes while you're watching the show so you know what to write about. And then you got to go back through the entire show to find clips. Like I just don't know what the workflow would look like. It just seems like a lot of effort. It just really does seem like a lot of effort to edit a video in that style. Which is why I presume most of these people have editors that they pay, but I do not make enough views on YouTube to get paid. I mean, I technically do, but I get paid like 10p per video. Like it's not notable. I get paid. I don't even manage that. I get paid like 10p per 5 videos or something. Um, so it's like obviously I'm not doing it for views, but it's just at that point a lot of work. It's just a lot of work that is hard to justify because I could be spending that time watching more anime, which is actually what life is all about. Um, and then, like I would like to do videos about visual novels as well, but visual novels are so fucking long. It's like, what do you even talk about? But hey, whatever. So, I'm just gonna do this laying around watching Symphogear video, and I want you guys to just tell me what the fuck to do in the comments. I don't know. I mean, I could do more videos like this. I like talking about the meta of stuff. Also, I want to say, like, is this an anime channel now? No? Yes? Maybe? I don't know. Has it ever not been an anime channel? Has it always been an anime channel? It's always been an anime channel. It has been since the beginning. Then I have that video about otakuism and George Bataille and the coalescence between those two things. I still don't even know. I'm gonna have to write that out. That's gonna be like a fucking PhD thesis. Like, I don't fucking know what's gonna happen with that video. It's just a lot of shit. I also have an album that's like almost done that I'm planning to release at some point. Like, I don't fucking know what's going on with that, but look forward to that, I guess. We're all here, we're all together, we're all watching anime, and that's what it's all about. But I'm gonna get back to watching Symphogear. I just wanted to sort of rant about how difficult I find it to talk about shows in a more structured way. Like I like the laying around watching format. It's fun. I would watch them personally. In fact, I have gone back and watched my own videos and enjoyed it. But what if I want to talk in more detail? Like, obviously, you can't catch everything just watching a show and talking, as you're watching it. So live vlogging. So, you know, what if I want to talk about something in a more structured and written way? How do I do it? That's the fucking question. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. And I'm gonna guess keep doing more research. And maybe one day I'll make a video like that. You know, there's a couple of ideas I have. I do kind of want to make a video about Shin Onuma. He's a director that I feel like is very underrated. I also kind of want to talk about Junichi Sato, who is a criminally fucking underrated director. But talking about Junichi Sato would require watching an insane amount of anime, because that guy has worked on a bunch of magical girl shows, and those are long as shit. Um, he's been going since the early 80s, and he's not stopped. That guy has made a lot of anime. Like, if I really wanted to do a full on everything about that guy, that's like a year-long project. At least 6 months. That's like a 6-month long project, which is just a lot. So I kind of want to do that. I do kind of want to make a video that's about isekai a little bit. Like, I have a lot of opinions about isekai, and maybe I'll make a video. I also want to do a video about 2024 anime. You know, I have a lot of ideas. And then, of course, there's also the idea that, like, maybe one day I can make a video about my favorite two shows, the Hidamari Sketch and Tamayura. And then there's also the idea that I could make a video called, like, The Most Complicated Anime Plot Explained, where I talk about Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere in a lecture style video. That would kind of pog. Would you guys watch that? A lecture style, Sonichu 101 style video about explaining the plot of Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere. Everyone thinks it's really complicated. It's not that complicated once you know what's going on. The problem is the show never tells you what's going on. But yeah, that's a great show though. You guys should watch Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere. You guys should read the light novels actually. They're translated. You can find them somewhere. At least some of them are translated. I don't know if all of them are translated. So, you know, we're all here and we're all together and we're all watching anime.